Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're starting off with the weekly chart, guys, and looking at Bitcoin, I do think we're coming to a very critical point in the market, guys. We have this very bearish-looking flag, guy, overall bearish trend that I've been talking about for quite some time. We also have this descending resistance line here that is very critical that we're coming up on now that should provide a lot of resistance, is providing a lot of resistance. So we've got this bearish pennant here that we're approaching the apex of. We're certainly hitting the top of its own descending resistance line. That's approaching this massive descending resistance line that's been in place going all the way back to April of 2018. So that's converging all on top of, if I zoom in here, all converging on top of our known resistance right here at approximately 4120 on that's on Coinbase and on Bitstamp, which we're currently looking at now. So we've got a lot of areas of resistance that we are approaching now, and that doesn't mean that price can't break above it. In fact, if it does break above, right now we've got decent volume sitting at, let me refresh this to make sure I've got the most current. Yeah, about 9.4 billion on the day. That is decent volume, and that does suggest that we could have enough here to push price up. And that's why I would either expect a major breakout here, or I would expect a major breakdown in the next week or two, in my opinion. Zooming all the way in on the weekly chart, guys, there's no question this has been an extremely bullish last 2 months, or almost 2 months there, not quite, but this has been an extremely bullish. The weekly chart has been looking extremely bullish, certainly for at least the last few months here. And if we zoom in here, guys, we can see that this candle kind of closed on what's known as a doji. It's kind of a neutral candle for those traders, those people that aren't really familiar. This candle right here, last week's candle, kind of a doji candle, and we kind of saw this candle here was a rather bullish-looking candle the week before that, with a rather bullish-looking candle, and we got no real follow-through with that at all, hitting major resistance on that descending resistance line. And of course, this candle here, our current weekly candle, is going to be very, very important to see how this plays out. Oftentimes, when you see a doji, guys, it depicts an epic battle between bulls and bears, and I think that's what we're seeing here. We saw an attempt by the bears to push price back down here. Bulls pushed it right back up, and of course, then the following week we had a major epic battle. This past week we've had a major epic battle between bulls and bears that ended up in this almost a neutral, basically a standoff. Sorry, guys. A tie is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, guys, can't seem to speak. So this doji candle kind of represents that tie that we're seeing. And oftentimes when you see this, guys, the following week you're going to see either a major juke in one direction or another, followed by a major move in the opposite direction. What do I mean by that? I mean, what we saw back here when we had this bearish looking candle that just broke all the way down here, and then we saw the bulls try to fight back. Bears pushed it right back down, and then we had that doji candle here. And the following week, following that doji candle, we had a major juke all the way down that made people think that the bear market was just going to continue. It bottomed out, hit bottom, and then of course we started the little bull run that we've had here over the last 7-8 weeks or so. And so I'm expecting a similar thing here, especially considering that we're approaching so many areas of resistance here, that we may see one more juke up, possibly retesting that 4120 area, and then a major breakdown to come back down and possibly retest these prior lows, or come back down, hit the bottom of that bear flag, or what appears to be a bear flag. Really, it's just a wedge at this point. We'll have to wait and see kind of how this thing ends up breaking out, but a wedge nonetheless. Hit the bottom of that wedge and then just has a nice bullish breakout. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out. Or we could see a juke down, where price ends up breaking down here, hits area of resistance again, possibly is falling down as low as even 3,600, the bottom of that flag, and then again another, as I said, a major breakdown. So we could see a fake out in one direction followed by a major move in the other, be that a fake out up and followed by a major move down, or a fake out down followed by a major move up. But this doji candle does signify an epic battle between the bulls and the bears right now. All right, zooming all the way back out on the weekly, guys, just kind of a cautionary tale if price does end up breaking up. Even if we break up above our 4120 resistance on Coinbase and Bitstamp, again, that'll be a little bit higher on Bitfinex and some other exchanges. But even if we do break above that, guys, we're not quite out of the woods yet. So just to kind of recap, over looking at this market here, as the price broke up here back at the middle of 2017, of course, it hit major resistance right around 3,000. We had that major rejection off of 3,000. Price came back down, came back up again, rejection off 3,000, rejection off 3,000, and then of course we had that major breakout above 3,000. So then we broke out above 3,000. Fast forward just a little bit in time, we came back down for that retest, and what was resistance should act as support. If it does, very bullish. If it does not, very bearish. In this case, came back down, almost a perfect technical hit right at 3,000, and then we were just off for the races for the rest of 2017, reaching new all-time highs. So again, guys, this was a good signal. If you're going to enter, anytime you break a resistance, you want to enter on the retest of that resistance that should act as support with a very tight stop, knowing if that does not act as support, then it could break down very quickly. So in this case, you would have bought again right around 3,000-ish. Of course, it did act as support, and we had that major boulder. Why am I pointing that out? I'm pointing that out because then we kind of took off here. And what happened? We broke up above that $5,000 range, guys. We were kind of, we can see that price came back up here, found resistance right at 5,000. Then it broke back down. Then it came back up. We broke through that 5,000, came back around, and we wicked all the way down to almost right at 5,000 again. What was resistance acted as support. Again, it took back off again. And we can see that there was a major weekly demand zone that was kind of created right there between 5,000 and about 5,800. And we can see that price for all of 2018, first we broke up above that demand zone, and then it came back down. What was resistance acted as support for about 3 weeks here, and then we took back off. And then came back down again, acted as support again, acted as support here, support, 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 support. So basically, price just bounced up on top of that demand zone for all of 2018. Again, why am I pointing that out? Because when we broke through that demand zone, we broke through with a vengeance. And we have yet to come back up and test that demand zone. So my point is, if we do end up breaking up here, guys, this area right here between about 5,000 and about 5,800, again, that'll vary depending on your exchange, but approximately 5,000 to 5,800, that area is going to be crucial to break above. If that area starts acting as resistance, in other words, if we break back up here and we get a strong rejection off of that area, this could be a massive, massive bull trap. A break up here could be a massive bull trap. So while it will be a very bullish if we do break above that 4120, or again, depending on where your resistance is. If you're looking at Bitfinex, it's right around 4250, 4300-ish, somewhere thereabouts. But there's no question there's a lot of resistance that price is going to have to get through before we can officially declare that we are on the bull run that everyone hopes we are. So this could be a major bull trap if we do break up. So I just want to caution you. That doesn't mean that I will indefinitely enter into a long position here, a small long position here if we do break above here, and I will start to get very, very bullish. But my point is, make sure that you're not betting the house on that break up there. Make sure that you're waiting until we get past this major area of resistance, and we could rule out any chance of a possible bull trap here once we do get above there. But until then, guys, this could be a bull trap, and you want to just be very careful and make sure that you any position that you're entering, I would take profits on all the way here until we've cleared this area. Once we've cleared this area, then I'd feel a lot more comfortable about holding that position for the longer term. But again, if you're dollar cost average again for the longer term, in other words, for the next 2 or 3 years, by all means, guys, slowly dollar cost average in and forget about it. But if you're more of a swing trader, or more of you're entering along, but you're planning on getting out, in the next few months or so, just be very careful about a breakup here until we do clear this area. All right, I'm beating that to death. All right, going from the weekly all the way and zooming in on the daily chart here, we can see the price came up here, obviously tried to break into that $4,000 resistance, was rejected pretty hard. Price was acting at $4,000, was acting as a major resistance here for about 5 days, finally broke above, came back down for the retest. What was resistance did not act as support, had a strong rejection, a strong breakdown, didn't quite come back down to retest our 3,900. I still would like to see a strong test of that 3,900, followed by either a nice break up again, or if we test that again and we get a breakdown below that 3,900, guys, obviously would be a very, very bearish sign. At that point, we're going to be hoping for a for 3,800 to hold, but if 3,800 does not hold, guys, it'll be a very quick drop, in my opinion, to at least 3,600, if not this $3,550 support down here. As of right now, we did break back down. $4,000 started acting as a strong resistance again, which again was a rather bearish sign. It looks like we're breaking back down here again, and I would like to see, again, I would actually like to see price break back down here and have a nice test. We didn't quite make it down here, so I'd like a nice test of 3,900. Again, if you're on Bitfinex, that'll be a little bit higher, but wherever this area is on your exchange, guys, I want a nice test of that area. And ideally for the bulls, we'd like to see a test, a nice little bounce, and that should give us the momentum that's needed to push price up above our massive resistance area here between 4,000 and 4,120. So right now, guys, it does look to me, especially by this break off here, that probability-wise, I do think there's a good chance that we may come back down to retest our $3,900 area, especially given that if I come over here and I look at longs versus shorts, we can see that we're starting off with shorts here. We can see that shorts are pretty lackluster. Shorts are just kind of sitting here, not moving much at all. But longs had been stacking, falling off the board here just a little bit, but there's no question that longs are outpacing shorts, in my opinion. Market makers very likely would like to liquidate a few more of these long positions before taking another stab at 4,000. So again, that would suggest price coming back down and at least retesting that $3,900, what should be a support. We'll have to wait and see if it does. But that $3,900 area, we'll see if it acts as support. Again, a bounce off that area would be a very bullish sign. And in fact, I wouldn't be a bad idea to scalp, possibly look into a scalp trade where you enter into a very small position between 3,900 and allow for a little wick below that between 3,900 and 3,850, targeting 4,000. That wouldn't be a bad idea at all. I just have a very tight stop loss, probably around, excuse me, guys. I have a very tight stop loss, at least around 3,800, knowing that if we do end up breaking down and 3,800 breaks, it'll be a very quick drop, in my opinion, to $3,600, if not 3,550. All right, quick look at our moving averages, exponential moving averages and Bollinger Bands here. We can see, guys, that we are breaking down below the 8-day EMA here. As of right now, the 21-day EMA is holding. We haven't even really retested it yet since we've had that bounce off the top of our Bollinger Band here, guys. So I would like to see, once again, that retesting of that 21-day EMA. If that does hold, a very, very bullish sign. And coincidentally, that sits right around 3,900, which was our known area of support that we were just talking about. Just above it right now, guys. But, you know, that would allow for a little wick below there and then a nice bounce off that area. If we do break below the 21-day EMA, guys, especially a decisive break below, in other words, a daily candle opening and closing below the 21-day EMA, that would be a very, very bearish sign, in my opinion. And of course, that would suggest, as I said earlier, a possible breakdown to that 3,600, if not 3,550. All right, let's go ahead and look at the weekly. Looking at the weekly chart, sorry about that, guys. Looking at the weekly chart, guys, we can see that the Bollinger Bands are once again making a beeline for each other. They're bottlenecking severely here, which is a sign that price is going to make a move. It doesn't tell you which way it's going to move, but it does suggest that we're getting a lot of momentum building up, a lot of pressure building up, guys, if you will, and that does suggest a major move in one direction or another fairly soon. So, and the tighter these Bollinger Bands get, typically, it doesn't always have to be, but oftentimes that means the larger the move is to come. So we'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out. Of course, we have our 200-day moving average down here to act as a very, very strong support. Has been in the past. I would expect it to be in the future. If that breaks down, guys, you know, all bets are off. We're probably going down to new all-time lows. But as for now, guys, that, or I should say, new lows for since we had that break, or since we had that low in the middle of 20. Let's see, where was that? Sorry, guys. Since we had our low back here in December of approximately $3,120-ish, I wouldn't be surprised if we do come back down and at least retest that, if not go lower than that. We'll have to wait and see. And that $3,000 area is looking like a strong area of support, as we looked at earlier on the weekly chart. So again, this does suggest, guys, that we are getting a lot of pent-up energy here, which would suggest a much larger move to come here on the weekly chart. Excuse me. And finally, guys, looking at our daily RSI, we can see that the daily RSI is still maintaining itself above that 53. That is a decent area, guys, in my opinion, just because we can see that that acted as a rather strong resistance all the way going, let's see, going all the way back to September of 2018. And this was a very, very strong resistance. Finally, when we decisively broke above it here, again, we've wicked it below it a few times. I say wick, guys, I'm using terms with candles here. We've dropped below it here quite a few times on the daily RSI, guys, but always pushed right back above. So it's been a very strong support. What was resistance is acting as support, and it looks like we're coming back down for a possible retest. If that does hold, again, guys, that would be an extremely bullish sign. If we do break below that and it continues down, not a quick break like we've seen here in the past, but if we do get a real decisive break below and this just does continue to slowly fall there, guys, again, that would be a very bearish sign and would suggest that we may be coming back down to retest those prior lows at around 31.50, 31.20, somewhere thereabouts, guys. Again, it certainly doesn't mean it will, but it's something that I would kind of keep an eye on here. But for now, it looks like a decent area for a nice little spring for price to possibly come down, the RSI to come down here, and I'd look for a little bounce in that area. If we don't get that bounce again, would be a rather bearish sign. So how am I playing this market? I'm out for the moment, guys. I've got a small scalp down here ready to go. If we do come down and test 3,900, I've got a small scalp between 3,900 and 3,850, and I'm going to be targeting $4,000. I'll get in and I'll get out very quickly. I do have my stop loss set at, actually, let me look and see, what is it? Set at, yeah, 38.20. So a very, very tight stop loss there, not allowing for much of a wick at all, knowing that things could get ugly very quickly. If you want to set your stop loss a little lower, you want to accept a little more risk at about 3,800. But if 3,800 breaks, as I said, guys, I think things are falling down to 3,600. To the upside, guys, I'm going to watch and wait and see. If we do get a bounce off 3,900, I'm going to wait and see how price is reacting, how longs and shorts are reacting when we get back into the $4,000 range. If it's backed by volume, and if as price comes up here, if we see short stacking, in other words, if the market expects this thing to reject again off of this resistance, I will absolutely go long and add to my long position, guys, expecting a breakout. If, on the other hand, price bounces off this area and we come back into the $4,000 range with long stacking and shorts falling off the board, at that point I'll very likely enter a short somewhere between 4,000 and 41.20, expecting price to collapse off the top of this this resistance once more. So it'll all depend on how price reacts if and when we do get up here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe, take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.